I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have an incredible episode. We are working with the Perelman Performing Arts Center reimagined production of Cats called Cats, the Jellicle Ball to bring you a series of episodes during the run. I had the privilege of heading to the PAC to film live after the show with Old Deuteronomy himself, the legendary André De Shields. What you're going to hear is our conversation after the Sunday matinee, where we discussed everything about his time in the role and his incredible experience as Old Deuteronomy. So sit back and enjoy our conversation with André De Shields. Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died. My name is Mike Abrams, your host, and I am here with André De Shields. Thank you so much for being here. It is amazing to have you here. I want to start at the beginning because you're a legend in Broadway and you've had a long career. You've been around to the point where I want to know, how many times have you seen Cats before this production? What was your Cats history? Did you see Ken and see the original production? And
of course I did. 1981, I think the date is. And Ken Page and I had worked together twice before. So we were used to supporting.
Yes, from The Wiz, definitely.
The Wiz, Ain't Misbehavin'. In 81, he created the role of Old Deuteronomy.
The role you're playing now.
And I certainly was impressed with the spectacle of Cats. I realized then that there really wasn't any significant storytelling that was being had outside of the personalities that were created for the Cats by T.S. Eliot.
Yes.
But still, it was diverting and it was entertaining. And it made $3 billion for Andrew Lloyd Webber. So in the industry, we call that a success.
Yeah.
And I saw it several times after that because a few of my colleagues followed Ken into the role. Also, a very good friend of mine, Marlena Danielle, has the singular distinction of the one cat that did all 18 years of its run on Broadway.
As Demeter, I believe, right?
As Demeter, yes.
Okay. So you were obviously familiar.
Absolutely.
You knew everything. What was your thought when you first heard of this version's concept, of the ballroom interpretation of that? We're going to merge these two worlds of Cats, which has a long history, and ballroom, which also has a long history.
This version of Cats is co-directed by Jalon Livingston and Bill Rausch. They approached me in the winter of 23 when I was doing Death of a Salesman.
Okay.
And they said, we need you to do Old Deuteronomy Redux. When they explained to me the idea that they were superimposing on the score and the text that I was familiar with, I said yes immediately, although I was already doing 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
I said yes to doing the experimental contract in January, February of 23, because I knew immediately it had a pedigree, their concept had a pedigree of being revolutionary.
Yeah.
And I said then, and I say now, I want to be on the front edge of the revolution in entertainment. I don't want to be bringing up the rear. I don't want to be half-stepping or back-stepping. So I committed to the experimental contract of 2 weeks. And I understood that there was a representative of the really useful group in the rehearsal hall, and that this representative would be taking information back to Andrew Lloyd Webber, and we had to wait for the thumbs up or the thumbs down. But we got the thumbs up on that first experimental contract. Now, that was the winter of January, February 23.
Okay. So it's a full year.
Yeah.
Before. Yeah.
In the fall of that same year, October, November, we did the developmental contract. Same process, same thumbs up. So then in May of this year, we're doing, and this is our third extension,
Yes.
the first equity union contract. Big jump
Yeah.
of Cats, the Jellicle Ball. I think I've answered your question.
Yes.
Okay.
It's been amazing to watch this as someone who has spent so much time talking about cats, but to experience a different interpretation of it. And I think one thing, and I've heard you talk a little bit about this in interviews already, but I'd love to hear you expand on it, is the storytelling that you mentioned. By taking away the cat costumes and by having it being a different interpretation, but still the same source material, still the same material. How's it been for you being able to do this production and being able to kind of bring this kind of new revival to a 45-year-old piece of art, but is one of the most popular things happening right now? That's a new vision of it.
That's a question with a lot of gravitas. And I'm going to now begin to answer it, but you may have to tell me, okay, that's enough.
Keep going. People want to hear from you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. But to answer your question, I have to step out of the world of things that are literal and move into the world of abstract metaphor and the intersection of history and evolution. That's why this Cats is happening. It would have been impossible to have this point of view, this perspective in 1981.
Okay.
We had to wait for what is very rare, that an intergenerational group of individuals would be experiencing the same phenomenon, which I've already named as an intersection of history and evolution. What I'm saying is the community, the multitude of voices that are represented in the Jellicle Ball had not formed as a community in 1981. The ball culture existed in 1981.
Yeah.
But there had been no invitation to collaborate the ball culture with legacy theater. I was about to say legitimate, but I'm not trying to call anything illegitimate. With legacy theater, knowing that that was the vectors of everything that was happening in the society. I know we are not supposed to get political, but I just want to say one thing so those individuals who are listening to us understand what I'm saying. Kamala Harris. This Cats is possible because history and evolution have now said we're through with the patriarchy. We are now moving on. We are progressing to the matriarchy, which means necessarily womanhood and womanism and feminism. That frightens a lot of people, even in the industry that's known for its creativity and its innovation. We still have had that polar separation between that which is masculine and that which is feminine. You can only do this version of Cats if you recognize the dichotomy in yourself. I'm going to reference T.S. Eliot now. I hope I'm quoting him correctly. But T.S. Eliot, who was born in America, but when you listen to his art, you think he is as British as Andrew Lloyd Webber. T.S. Eliot says, "It is only those who risk going too far who know how far to go. And that is the credential of this concept, this performance, this show. Lots of entertainment, lots of entertainment, but a great deal of enlightenment. People have told me, but I'm also aware of it because I have the best perspective on this show.
Yeah.
And let me say this as objectively as I can because it's reported to me. André, when Old Deuteronomy finally makes his appearance, I broke down crying. And I cried through the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Still whacking the fans and screaming and yelling, right? But in addition to the entertainment is enlightenment. And I take my hat off to Dudney, who plays Monk of Strap, who is the storyteller.
Yes.
Now, what he is doing is a fine service to the audience because he is what we call a griot, G-R-I-O-T. Do you know that term?
I do not.
This is why I said your question was going to bring out the
This is
gravitas in
great.
me. Griot is a word borrowed from Francophone Africa,
Okay.
right? The African countries that speak French. Why do Africans speak French? Because of colonialism, right? But out of that cross-section of cultures comes this term griot, which means gatekeeper, which means keeper of the faith, keeper of the history, keeper of the culture. A griot is a walking library, an individual who knows everything that there is to know about the culture, the nation, the globe, the universe, the cosmos, all relationships. And the griot also has a protege to whom is passed all of that information because griots, like all humanity, pass on, but leave someone to continue the service of whatever question you have. I can answer it. Dudney, telling the story in a fine manner. Entertainment, enlightenment. Now, the third E that I want to talk about is ecstasy. And that's why people cry during this performance, because they never suspected. I mean, they know from the promotion and from the word of mouth, this is not your mother and father's cats. This is something else, which is why I call it a multitude of voices. This is the pluralism we talk about when we say democratic, multiculturalism, and that sort of thing. Now, the ecstasy comes when Deuteronomy is introduced. Monkey Strap is telling the story. Deuteronomy brings the myth onto the stage. This is why the Greeks, from whom we in the Western world say we borrowed our culture, but this is why the Greeks built amphitheaters that would seat an entire nation state, 20,000 people, 40,000 people, because they believed, because no one had scaled Mount Olympus at the time, they believed that in that mist that ringed the mountaintop lived the gods. But they, with the proper ritual, would come down from the mountaintop, walk among us, and do the thing that we still come to the theater for. A theater is a temple, just like a Jewish temple, just like an Islamic mosque, just like a Christian church. This is the fourth institution where the 5 necessary questions are answered. You have to answer a question. You have to resolve a crisis. You have to lift a burden. You have to break a yoke, take that albatross off the neck of the people who have come for redemption. That's why we come and sit in a dark place with strangers. It's a kind of atonement, right? So that's what's happening on this runway, which leave people screaming at the top of their voices, gagging, as we say.
Mm-hmm.
I came out the other day, and in the ball culture, one of the grandest compliments one can receive is, "You ate that bitch," which means that you brought it, right? Someone screamed that out to me when I entered the other night.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. There's no other forum that you can do that in.
It's almost encouraged in this production. There's the
Yes.
announcement in the beginning.
Let me put it this way. It's invited.
Yes.
Yeah, it's invited.
It's so interesting to hear you talk about that from that perspective. And because there's always been a conversation about the Jellicles being a religion or a group and together.
Well, okay, so you've answered the question for yourself.
We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died.
When I had to approach the recreation of Old Deuteronomy, and my hat is off to Ken Page, because the first thing I did was go to the original Broadway cast album and listen to him. And check it out, all of you who are listening. Old Deuteronomy, who is the DNA of every cat, sings 3 songs in the entire show. Now, that's the 1981 version. In the 2024 version, he sings the 3 songs, but he walks the runway also, which is a song unto itself. It reveals a lot about Old Deuteronomy that doesn't have to be sung or spoken.
Yeah.
Monka Strap is delivering the storytelling. Old Deuteronomy is bringing the myth. The 3 songs that Deuteronomy sing provide the philosophy of the Jellicle Ball, the metaphysics of the Jellicle Ball, and the aesthetics of the Jellicle Ball. Now, you put that all together, you could have a religion, but we're not preaching religion here. But we do have a set of tenets. You see, Monka Strap brain the tablets to Old Deuteronomy, and we do that deliberately so people think, oh, Moses, right? The 10 Commandments. Well, yeah, that's a great reference, but these are not the 10 Commandments. They are the 10 tenets of being or of addressing a cat, right?
It's the moon too, right? It's the
the Jellicle moon. Right, the phases of the moon. Everything that we all know about and experience, but has never been brought together in this crucible so that it can be an ecumenical experience for 500 people.
So it's so interesting to hear you talk about this, because it's for everyone who's seen it. It's, they've gotten to experience that. And you're right, you sing your 2 songs, Moments of Happiness, Addressing the Cats, but you have your moment. And it is a moment where you come out and, I mean, the show stops. Everyone around here has that moment. And there's the André De Shields, there's you coming out, but there's also Old Deuteronomy. Old Deuteronomy is as the character that is here to start that process. And I think a part that I'm interested to hear you talk a little bit about is we're sitting here for anyone watching, but for everyone listening, we're sitting on your throne, which is the judging table as well for the ballroom moment. And that's where we start when you come out, the categories and the competition. And so I'd love to hear, I know you have spoken a little bit about how you have been to balls in the past, but what your ballroom experience was, because your theater experience is well documented, but this is, again, merging those cultures. And what I've loved as I've talked to more of the cast is your cast has a mix of representation of theater, of ballroom. You've got Junior LaBeija. I mean, you have incredible people, but I'd love to hear about your ballroom experience and how you were able to bring that to this production.
To tell the truth, I don't have ballroom experience per se. I'm a septuagenarian. I've lived for 78 Earth years. Prior to ballroom, I was experiencing a phenomenon that, well, let me say three phenomenons, that if you actually allow them to coalesce, you have the seed of ballroom. Phenomenon number one, the Jewel Box Review, which started here in New York, as the ballroom culture did, as hip-hop did, as we allow the rappers to claim, started here in New York. Mm-hmm. The Jewel Box Review was an entertainment that traveled on the Chitlin Circle. It wasn't quite considered legitimate, but if you knew about the Jewel Box Review and you had enough scratch, you could go to a theater in a mainly Latino, or African-American neighborhood and experience thrill to the art of transvestism. Men who could fool your imagination into thinking that you are watching a show of all women. I experienced that at the Royal Theater in Baltimore as a child, actually, but there I was.
Okay.
Studying for this interview.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's phenomenon number one. Phenomenon number two, again, from the culture of people of color, rent parties. Now, if you know anything about jazz, you know about rent parties, and you know about the Harlem Renaissance. Because when you could not afford to pay the rent, you would throw a party, and the host of the party would provide dinner, right? Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, potato salad, catfish, greens, chitlins. So that's called the chitlin circuit, yeah. Right? And then invite the neighborhood or the hood to come and have a good time. But you know I have to pay my rent. Mm-hmm. So when you arrive at the door, we measure your waist. And however big your waist is, that's what you pay to get into the rent party.
Wow.
Now, it wasn't done in dollars. It was done in pennies, nickels, mm-hmm. quarters, change, that kind of thing. But it got the question answered. It got the problem solved. It got the crisis resolved. It took the albatross off the neck. The person wasn't evicted. And you had a great time. Yeah. And some of the things that happen at these rent parties would blow your mind. There was always a back room at these rent parties where there was a specialist, not a chiropractor, not a physical therapist, but a specialist. And the concept is you could either shower or get so drunk or have someone pour some kind of liquid on you, go into this back room, lie on the table, and be licked dry.
Wow.
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 That's a challenge to the ball culture.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that at the Perelman Performing Arts Center. Okay.
Yeah, no back room. That's
but you take all of those ingredients.
Mm-hmm. And that's your ball culture.
You got a ball culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have that history and you're pairing it with people who are legends and icons in the ball scene. Right. What was the process when those worlds merged? When you had your first readings or your first, the experiences that you were talking about?
There has been a merging of the cultures, or at the very least, a collaboration. Mm-hmm. It's been possible because on day one, and we continue this process, this ritual, on day one, we did an intimacy circle. And we went around the circle and each person introduced themselves and their pronouns and gave their perspective on what they hoped to bring to the collaboration and derive from the collaboration. It's a very intimate process because what you are doing metaphorically is getting naked in front of a group of strangers. But that's what you have to do if you're going to tell the truth of the ball culture. Mm-hmm. which is happening on this stage at the Perelman Performing Arts Center, but could not have been possible without the intersection of history and the culture that has been traditionally marginalized to the edges of society, who are the ones who can live, display, and tell this story. This is authenticity on the stage. This isn't pretense. And you can only do this if you have struggled all of your existence to discover your best self. And your best self is always a spiritual journey. The audience that comes in here knows that's what they're going to get, which is why we have repeat audiences now.
A lot.
Yeah.
Very much. We met somebody we heard that has been here 18 times, and you get a different experience each night. That's incredible. So
actually, it's credible. That word is overused so much. Incredible, that it's almost obsolete. I know what people mean when they say, oh, that's incredible. But incredible means it's not to be believed. That's what incredible means.
Very true.
Right?
Amazing.
Well, that's a tied
exciting
word. That's a tied word too.
Yeah.
And we're now making awesome a tied word. You offer somebody a piece of gum, they say awesome, totally.
Yeah. What would be your word for this?
It's a sentence. These are cosmic indicators to remind us that in our differences we are all the same. When a meteor comes into the Earth's atmosphere and burns up and leaves evidence in the Earth's soil, there's ammonia, there's gold, there's titanium, presence of water. We are made of gold, arsenic, ammonia, titanium. So what's the big deal? There's a big fire up there, and it's dynamic, and it's exploding all the time. We're the little version of the big fire. We are dynamic. We are changing. We are exploding all the time. Everything is changing. It's coalescing now, so you can actually witness the change happening intergenerationally, which is what I was talking about in the very beginning.
Is that your biggest takeaway? Like, what's the one thing, if somebody's walking into this show for the first time, what's the one thing you hope they take out of this production?
All right. This is going to be circumspect.
Okay.
But I'll get to my point.
Okay.
I have to go back to how I approached creating this character. And everything that I've already shared with you said to me, when I reached the amalgam, it said, you have to do what is done in the world of religion. When you read scripture, they call it exegesis. When you deconstruct the scripture of any religion, you are performing an exegesis. You are discovering the knowledge within the thought, exegesis. So I said, I have to turn this on its head and now create a scripture that the audience has to exegete. Now, ball culture is indigenous to the United States of America. But now it has a global existence. But in terms of exegeting this score and this T.S. Eliot book, what you have to concentrate on are the three major religions of the United Plantations of America.
Okay.
Those three religions are Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. I'm not saying there aren't any other important religions, but I'm saying the three crowd pleasers are Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. So when Munkerstrap comes out with the other kittens and talks about what the Jellicles do once a year, that's the first ritual he mentions. But it's the entire culture from around the world that meets once a year, under the Jellicle moon, on the Jellicle night, to have a Jellicle Ball, to choose the one chosen Jellicle cat who will go to the Heaviside layer. So I had to ask myself, what is that? What is it?
What's the Jellicle choice?
No, what I just described. I mean, I'm not trying to test you, but I'm saying to myself, what I just described to myself, what is that? It's a Hajj. That's what Muslims do once a year from all over the world.
Yeah.
They go to Mecca. So I had my first tenet. This is a Hajj, the Jellicle Ball. Jellicle cats from all over the world come this one day of the year for atonement purposes. So I said, okay, I got my Islam. Now, the story continues. I'm trying to understand Deuteronomy's relationship to all the other cats. Now, part of the storytelling that we have superimposed on the original cats is this idea that Macavity is a kind of Robin Hood. Because the people in the ball culture don't have the money to afford, as Demeter says, Louis Vuitton, Prada.
Yes.
The ball culture doesn't have that kind of money. But when you see them on the runway, you think, okay, bitch, where'd you get that? You know? Now, wait a minute. It happens in the legitimate world, too. People who do concerts, for instance, they go to the designers or to their retail outlets, and they say, oh, I love that gown, right? And they get the gown, leave the label in it, they wear it for their concert, return it and say, oh, it really doesn't fit, Well, you can't, there's the label.
Yeah.
I didn't take the label out. Here's my receipt. You have to take this back.
It's the categories.
That's
the label's category.
Right.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died.
So, Macavity is the kind of Robin Hood. He's doing exactly that, bringing all the haute couture fashion to the ball culture.
Yeah.
And they are happy to receive it. But here's the rule. You cannot get caught doing it, right?
Yeah.
Because then you have to answer to the secular law, which says you are a criminal and we're going to take you to jail. And since you're queer, we're going to beat you on the way to jail and not have to explain anything. So Macavity becomes Deuteronomy's, you want to take a guess?
I'm trying to think now.
Macavity becomes Deuteronomy's Judas.
Okay.
And in the scene where Deuteronomy is arrested, and there's no dialogue, right? But the story is, Macavity, you've been caught.
Yeah.
You are rebellious. You've gone against our law. And I know you, and I know this is what would happen eventually. And now I have to do the right thing and banish you, right? That's Christianity. Now, you don't have to go and hang yourself from an olive tree as Judas was reported to have done. But you can't stay here any longer.
Okay. So that covers 2.
Thank you. Now, I'm thinking about how Christianity has attached itself to Judaism by writing a New Testament. Judaism doesn't have an Old Testament. Judaism has the Holy Scriptures. And Judaism has an intellectual lean that the other 2 disciplines, I won't say they lack it, but it's not being on the menu.
Okay.
With Judaism, you are invited to be skeptical, question law. And by questioning the law, you make it even more true. When I had those 3 revelations, I said to myself, and having been listening to Ken Page, I said, I know how to recreate Deuteronomy.
It's incredible to hear the thought process behind that. I've spent so much of my show and talking to people from all the different casts, thinking through plot and story.
Right.
And this is different. And so it's been so fun to see how this is a reinterpretation. And I've kind of told a lot of the Cats haters, the ones that have for years.
Are there cat haters?
Not of this show, but of the 80s
right.
version.
That became a fad.
And everyone that's come to this production has loved it. And it's the storytelling. It's the clear storytelling that you've added and cleared up in some cases. And I think by not being in a cat costume and the amazing...
Right, no whiskers, no fur, no tails. But it's also Greek in the sense that we are the gods. Mm-hmm. And we have come down this one night to demonstrate for you what the journey is, what the purpose of this life of gravity on the earth plane is about.
Mm-hmm. So now I got to ask you the most important question. In
In
my opinion, what my show has been centered around is I'd argued, and not from this production, but just in general, that I didn't think Grizabella was the correct Jellicle choice. And so I want to ask you
wait a minute. You have to give me the reason you don't think that.
Well, it depends on how you interpret. So I want to ask you a question first, and then I'm happy to give you my reason. But as Old Deuteronomy, I want to know, what is the criteria to be the Jellicle choice? No. I'm not a fool. No. I'm not a fool. You don't think
Grizabella is the correct choice. Why do you think that?
I'm happy to give mine. So
come on with it.
So I believe, depends on what your interpretation of the Heaviside layer is. And my interpretation was that it was being sacrificed. It was death. And to have a Grizabella come back and have this family redemption and be accepted in that moment, and then to immediately banish her. Now, in the sense of that she's not ready, that she doesn't have a life to live. I want her to stay 1 year. I want her to be next year's Jellicle choice. I want her to have 1 year with her family, and I want Gus to go, who's lived a very thoughtful life, has done their time, and they can go this year. So that's my argument.
Well, if this were Jeopardy, the buzzer would go, wrong answer.
Okay.
Let's go to the end of the play first. When Grizabella ascends to the Heaviside layer, what is the infrastructure she uses?
In this show, the stairs. We've got the staircase. We've got a staircase, right? A ladder.
Come on, help. You better talk to your producer. A ladder, stairs. Where does it take place?
Takes place
in New York.
In New York.
So what is that?
That is a fire escape.
Fire escape.
Okay. Fire escape.
Right. I mean, that's not a puny idea that it is a fire escape and that it is on the outside of a building, an old building, and that when she walks through the door of the fire escape, what do you hear?
You hear the New York noise.
The sounds of New York. Yeah. Right. So the Heaviside layer is not death.
This production, I think, has ruined my argument.
Okay, but I'm going to ruin it even more. The Heaviside layer is not death. You know how we say cats have 9 lives? The Heaviside layer is a 10th life.
Okay. So does she not come back to this ball, to this family?
Oh, yeah, she has been received again by the family. She is atoned. She is redeemed. She is loved. She is beautiful again, but she never lost her beauty. She never lost her beauty. What did she lose?
She lost her family.
No, she didn't lose. She didn't lose.
She almost was exiled, it seemed like.
No, she wasn't exiled.
No?
No. She wasn't exiled, and she didn't lose the family.
There's a little bit of loss of confidence.
Ah! Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. This is André De Shields, not T.S. Eliot. You cannot give your heart or your love to someone else if you haven't first given your heart and your love to yourself.
I agree completely.
Right. Now, the theater cat, Gus, agrees with you. He thinks he deserves to go to the Heaviside layer.
And why not?
Each of the people, individuals who walk the runway, is vying for the opportunity to go to the Heaviside layer. But remember the 5 questions that we have to answer? Who, what, where, when, why?
Yeah.
What is the lesson that's going to be learned if Gus goes to the Heaviside layer? Or any of the other kittens go to the Heaviside layer? What is the lesson that's going to be learned?
There's less of one than the redemption of...
Right. So the most cogent and comprehensive lesson and the greatest amount of exegesis you can receive from this experience is if Grizabella goes to the Heaviside layer, because Grizabella is a woman.
So
what do I mean?
I've got a follow-up question for you after, but go ahead.
Okay, but what do I mean when I say Grizabella is a woman? By the masculine perspective that has ruled the modern world for as long as anyone can remember, and in a similar category as people of color, women are the scourge of the earth, essentially because they're not men. But they are excoriated, they're punished having committed no crime, they are not allowed to be liberated individuals. So what we are doing here is reminding everyone who comes into this forum that the paradigm that is staring at us from the horizon is represented in this play by felinity, which is the surrogate for femininity. That's why we have to choose Grizabella and why the sacrifice is Deuteronomy.
So I'm going to go back to my first question I asked you about this.
But do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
The sacrifice is Deuteronomy?
Meaning, so...
He's the one who's arrested. He's the one who's taken to jail. Right.
So yeah, from the McCavity part. But I'm going to go back to the first question of the criteria. So you said the idea is it's a lesson. It's the ability to teach the audience and the Jellicles and everybody at the ball this lesson.
Yeah, the audience learns through the Jellicles, right? Yeah.
Next year's ball, is there another lesson that has to be learned? Is this an annual thing?
Well, the ball is annual. We got through that. But lessons are endless. That's what life is about.
So Grizabella goes this year. Who goes next year?
We don't know. We have to wait until we have the ball.
We got to let everyone...
Yeah.
Because that's where I go back to criteria of what is it different every year? Is it the same every year? Is it a lesson this year and it could be who had the best dance move next year? Yeah,
but you never win the journey to, let's say Hades now. but there's a similar lesson here.
Yeah.
You don't get chosen for the journey to the heavy side layer because you have danced the best or looked the best. It's because you deserve the lesson. You need the lesson. Now, since I stumbled onto Hadestown, let me use it as a comparison.
Yeah.
The lesson in Hadestown is don't look back. Now, that isn't absolutely physical. You have to look back.
Yeah.
Because if you don't look over your shoulder, if you don't know where you've been, you can't know where you're headed. But don't look back is don't let doubt deceive you. Know that you are enough. Know that you are worthy. Know that you deserve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, perhaps next year's lesson is don't mistake a bruised ego for a broken heart, which we do all the time.
Yeah.
Canceling people, ghosting people, divorcing people, dropping your love. What?
Yeah. This is the most passionate defense of Grizabella I've had so far. And I've had 180 plus episodes of trying to convince the world. Now, I do think, again, your production is so different and it doesn't feel like the 10th life of a cat. It feels like a continuation of going back into the world, be brought back to society. Like it feels much more of the stories being told there, which I've kind of joked has been harder for me to argue, versus the tire that everyone goes up on at the Winter Garden Theater.
Yeah.
but it's fun to hear the different
But
perspectives.
are you asking me a question? Or
No,
you
no,
just say-
I've found it's so interesting to hear your version, how you're talking through it. It's been
Well, at the risk of sounding dismissive, and that is not what I'm trying to do here, but think of the metaphorical image of the tire.
What about it?
Well, what does it say to you? All cats are feral?
It's the junkyard.
Yeah.
It's just junk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, feral.
And it's getting raised up to past the hotel, past the Russell Hotel, to where?
I can't defend 1981's cats.
That's most of where my shows come from, though.
What I'm saying is, I cannot defend it, not because I wouldn't want to, but there's nothing there to exegete.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm saying I had to create the ethos.
Yes.
So that I can make sense of what I'm being asked to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I can talk to you like this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be, I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to ask Andrew Lloyd Webber? No.
Yeah.
Ask me.
Yeah.
I created this Deuteronomy.
Yeah. It's amazing. And it's an incredible thing to watch. But
what I'm saying is, what else is there to do when the paradigm looking at us, inviting us to come to the future, lays down those laws? Drop your biases, drop your proclivities, drop your predispositions. Don't hate. The lesson is give your heart and your love to yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're ready for the multitude of voices. Then you're ready for pluralism. Mm-hmm. Then you're ready for the people who don't look anything like you. But you don't, who am I quoting now? Do not curse the darkness, light a candle. Mm. I know that's not true. I'm quoting somebody, but I can't think of who.
Don't know who that is.
Right.
This has been so fun to talk to you and hear how you created this and the vision that you've put together with an incredible group of people. And
stop using that term incredible.
I'm gonna have to stop.
Phenomenal group.
Phenomenal group of people.
Right.
I'm gonna have to break that habit.
Yeah,
it's
please
very much a habit.
Don't you hear it all the time?
You do. Yeah, it's all the time.
All the time. Oh, you're incredible. That's incredible. No, stop. What you mean is you're incredulous. Mm-hmm. I can't believe I'm in the same realm with this phenomenon.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. But increase your active vocabulary.
Yeah.
Learn cursive handwriting again. People are shocked when I autograph their playbills. They actually say, I can read your handwriting.
Yeah.
Of course you can read my handwriting. I wouldn't sign it otherwise.
It's not taught anymore. But it's been so fun to have you on and hear.
I see you trying to get to the end of the interview.
You've got more.
But that's what I said. You have to tell me to stop.
No, it's been it's been so fun to hear your perspective on this.
Right.
And we're almost at the end of this journey.
There's another word that if we don't increase our active vocabulary, it's going to quickly become cliche. Mm-hmm. Perspective. I still use it myself. But what we all need to invent for ourselves, create for ourselves, nourish for ourselves is purpose. You have to have a reason to get up every morning because we all get up with, if not the same, a similar default consciousness, which is why most of the world, when they get up, reaches for coffee. That's the first way we change our default consciousness. Now I'm going to go to somewhere you may not want on your podcast, but I'm not going to belabor it. I'm just going to make the statement. Your default consciousness, if you apply the correct stimulation often enough, and it may not be coffee, will ultimately result in being, are you all listening? Woke. I'm done.
This is so fun. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died. the podcast Breakdown of the Catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other listed podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Wrong Cat Died, or check out our website, thewrongcatdied.com.